फॉरेन पॉलिसी क्लासरूम में इन तमाम बातों की चर्चा तो हुई ही है कि क्या चुनौतियां हैं, भारत की नई विदेश नीति कैसी हो, पड़ोसियों के साथ रिश्ते कैसे हों और ग्रेट पावर बनने की जो ललक या दुनिया को उम्मीद है उसको हम कैसे पूरी करेंगे। आगे का सफ़र कैसा होगा, रोड अहेड कैसा होने जा रहा है, इस पर हम बात करेंगे हमारे विदेश सचिव रंजन मथाई से। विदेश सचिव का रोल दरअसल एक उस बड़े ऑर्केस्ट्रा के मैस्ट्रो की तरह से होता है जिसका काम होता है कि हर धुन, हर बात, हर मैसेज को वो कंट्रोल कर सके और स्ट्रेटेजाइज कर सके। मथाई साहब, आपने हमारे लिए वक्त निकाला, आपका बहुत शुक्रिया। आपसे पहला सवाल मेरा ये होगा कि फॉरेन पॉलिसी के बारे में आपने करीबन 3 डिकेड्स इसमें गुजार दिए हैं। जब शुरू हुए थे तब और अब फॉरेन पॉलिसी बनाने का जो काम है उसमें एक बड़ा बदलाव क्या आया आपके हिसाब से, जो डिफाइनिंग बदलाव आप कहेंगे?
I would say the main challenge, of course, is the new framework in which we operate both globally and domestically. The world has completely changed from the situation we dealt with 4 decades ago when I joined the service, and we have to adapt to the fact that there is a huge degree of globalization. The world has become more integrated in some ways, but the political divisions and the rivalries and the competition remains as sharp. So you have to function within that framework. I would say within our own country, the number of stakeholders has increased. Globalization has had a very major impact. The reform program has led, just to give you a figure, in 1991-92, people used to say about 15% of our GDP, entire GDP, was linked to imports and exports. Today, with a GDP almost 4 times the size of 1991, the figure is 45 to 50%. So Indians, people, we are much more affected. People travel. We are much more regarded around the world as a country with influence, and therefore our policy has to fit into that. But that means the sections of our own society who have a stake in it have a voice, and they need to be drawn into the broad framework of policy making. There is a great deal of interest in the media, in parliament, in the business world, and now increasingly with many state governments. As you know, as many as 16 of our states have either a border with a foreign country और आर लिंक्ड वेरी क्लोज थ्रू द मैरीटाइम बाउंड्रीज टू फॉरेन कंट्रीज।
ये आपने बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग बताया, क्योंकि स्टेट्स ने पिछले दिनों कुछ इश्यूज उठाए, तो क्या कोई एक अब मैकेनिज्म बना लिया गया है जहां इन सारे स्टेक होल्डर को फॉरेन पॉलिसी के डिस्कशन और स्ट्रेटजी सेशंस के दौरान शामिल किया जाएगा, या अभी ये वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस है?
वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस, बिकॉज वी डोंट हैव अ फॉर्मल स्ट्रक्चर। वैसे तो कोई फॉर्मल स्ट्रक्चर तो बनाया नहीं है, बट आई रिकॉल दैट इवन इन द 50s and 60s पंडित नेहरू used to write letters to chief ministers on foreign policy. So the attempt to explain what we are doing is an old tradition in our country. Of course, today we realize that particularly with the neighboring countries, we have to take account of the views of state governments, and that is done usually at the political level. But we function within that overall framework.
बहुत लोगों को ये इंप्रेशन है जिसकी आप चर्चा कर रहे हैं कि फॉरेन पॉलिसी का जो पूरा एस्टैब्लिशमेंट है ये थोड़ा सा एक एक्सक्लूसिव काम है, बड़ा स्पेशलाइज्ड काम है, और ये जो स्टेक होल्डर हैं इनको ठीक से शामिल नहीं किया जाता। इकोनॉमी और ट्रेड एक एस्पेक्ट है उसका, सिक्योरिटी और डिफेंस उसका दूसरा एस्पेक्ट है। तो आपको लगता है कि अब इस पर बहुत तेज़ी से बात करके पूरे तौर तरीके बदलने की ज़रूरत है कि एक इंक्लूसिव कन्वर्सेशन हो और लगातार होता रहे?
लगातार होता रहता है। I must tell you that foreign policy, the foreign policy is really the instrument through which you use your presence in the world to maximize your own advantage, and therefore it is designed to help the process of national development, which means that whether you talk about the economic policy or the development policy, we do not act in a vacuum. We work very closely with the Ministry of Commerce, with the Ministry of Finance. We have mechanisms to integrate their views into how we deal with these issues worldwide. Similarly, on matters of national security, which are equally important, we work very closely with the Ministry of Defense, with the Ministry of Home Affairs, with the National Security Council, the Prime Minister's office. Obviously, we take all these groups, these ministries and their views into account when we formulate even diplomatic strategy. So I think ये कोई exclusive, there is nothing exclusive about what we do. In fact, I would say we are one of the most inclusive ministries in the government of India.
जी बिल्कुल। इस वक्त जब कहते हैं कि इस वक्त भारत के लिए जो इतना तेज़ी से बढ़ रहा है, कहते हैं ये ग्रेट पावर बनेगा, कोई रोक नहीं सकता है। सोचना यह है हिंदुस्तान को कि इसको ग्रेट पावर बनाना है कि नहीं बनाना है। इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में मेरा सवाल आपसे ये है कि क्या हिंदुस्तान के लिए सबसे बड़ा पॉलिसी चैलेंज इस वक्त चीन है? और चीन के बारे में मैन ऑन द स्ट्रीट से आप सुनते होंगे और मीडिया उसको रिफ्लेक्ट करता है कि सीमा पर आर पार क्यों नहीं कर लेते। उस तरह के नॉइजी डिबेट में हम बिल्कुल नहीं पढ़ना चाहते। लेकिन मान लीजिए स्पेशल रिप्रेजेंटेटिव बात कर रहे हैं और 16 राउंड हो गए हैं। जहां हम नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज देना चाहते हैं 10 साल से, वहां चाइना पहले पहुंच जाता है। चाइना के साथ रिलेशनशिप को कैसे आगे चल के हम मैनेज करने जा रहे हैं, इसको लेके लोगों में बड़ी क्यूरियोसिटी है।
Well, curiosity hai, that is true. I think what we are trying to do with China is quite transparent. We have always explained that we seek a relationship with China that is based on a mutual understanding of each other's sensitivities and interests, that enables us both to make progress. As the Prime Minister has said, there is enough place in the world for both of us to grow. And also to develop our bilateral relationship in a way that maximizes our own advantage. So I think we are conducting it on a number of levels. As you referred to the special representatives talks on the boundary, there is a regular exchange between the Prime Minister and the leaders of China. There is a regular dialogue between them. As you are aware, the Prime Minister of China made his first visit outside China after becoming Prime Minister to India. And we are looking forward to the visit of our Prime Minister to China later in the year. So I think this at the political level, the boundaries we have already referred to the special representatives, but we also have a strategic economic dialogue between the Deputy Chairman of the Planning Commission and his Chinese counterpart. So we have also cultural dialogues, we have scientific exchanges, all these are going on. During the recent events which have taken place on the border, yes, certainly there was a great degree of concern and interest, but I'd like to assure you those negotiations were managed very carefully, and we ensured that the status quo has been maintained and that peace and tranquility is to be maintained on the border. That is the principle on the basis of which we are proceeding.
बिल्कुल सर, हम लोगों को थोड़ा अंदाज है कि ये जो क्राइसिस रिजॉल्व हुई थी इसमें आपने किस तरीके से बहुत ही एक्टिव रोल प्ले किया। इसीलिए इस सवाल में दोबारा आऊँगा। एक समरी के तौर पर हमको ये समझाइए आप कि जो हमारा सबसे अच्छा दोस्त है अमेरिका, उसके साथ इन दिनों हमारे बहुत सारे इश्यूज़ पर डिफरेंसेस कहिए, झगड़े कहिए। किसी ने अभी लिखा है कि एक उस रोमांटिक नॉवेल की तरह है कि मालूम है कि लास्ट में मिलेंगे लेकिन उसके पहले बिकरिंग बहुत करेंगे। तो अमेरिका को बैलेंस करना, अमेरिका जो चाइना के बारे में सोचता है उसमें चाइना के साथ इंडिपेंडेंटली अपने रिश्ते बढ़ाना, और इस बीच में अफगानिस्तान पर अमेरिका से आप लोग जो इस वक्त बात कर रहे हैं, इसको हम लोग कैसे देखें?
See, the point is that every country operates its foreign policy on the basis of its own national interest, and we should understand that there are no exclusive relationships. So while we try to build up a relationship with China or with the United States, the two countries are also building their own relationship. That's very clear.
और हम अनकंफर्टेबल होते हैं अगर वो G2 की बात करते हैं तो?
We are not uncomfortable with them building a relationship which is suitable to the two of them, as long as our interests are ensured, and that we make sure, and this is the part of the role of diplomacy, that our relationship with the two countries independently has to be very strong, so that we remain keeping our bilateral relations separate from the kind of dialogues which the two of them might be having. So I think we have succeeded in that to a great extent. You referred to Afghanistan. I think the issue there is that there are three major transitions underway in Afghanistan. What we are all talking about is the security transition because of the withdrawal of foreign forces, but there is also a political transition with the elections, and an economic transition as that country tries to adapt to the changes which are coming there. India is playing a very active role. We are very well regarded in Afghanistan, and we are engaged in dialogues with the government and with other leaders of Afghanistan to make sure that our interests are fully protected.
आखिरी में एक सवाल पूछना चाहूँगा। हम लोगों के बारे में एक इल्ज़ाम ये लगता है कि हम लोग तो बहुत अच्छे लोग हैं, लेकिन जो एक कोहेजन और एक एग्रेशन होना चाहिए लॉन्ग टर्म स्ट्रेटजीज़ बनाने में, उसमें कमी रहती है और उसका संबंध कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग से है। और ये आंकड़ा बड़ा कॉमन है, कहते हैं कि उतने IFS ऑफिसर्स जितने सिंगापुर में हैं उतने हमारे पूरे भारत के लिए हैं। हमको पता है आप लोग इस पर काफ़ी काम कर रहे हैं और आने वाले दिनों में इनके नंबर्स बढ़ेंगे। तो इस पूरे IFS की मशीन को, इस पूरी डिप्लोमेसी की मशीन को चलाने के लिए और ये स्ट्रेटजिक थॉट प्रोसेस को बढ़ाने के लिए, बाहर से थिंक टैंक को लाने के लिए एक ग्रैंड प्लान क्या है आपका?
कोई ग्रैंड प्लान ऐसे तो नहीं है, बट लेट मी जस्ट से दैट वी स्टार्टेड थिंकिंग अबाउट दिस मेनी years ago. You see, in the 80s and 90s, that is 20-30 years ago, somehow a decision was taken to downsize government, to make the government machinery smaller.
यहाँ नहीं करना था.
And well, I don't know, but anyway, this MEA was also part of the ministries whose size was being reduced. In as early as 2008, we had reversed that decision through a formal approval of the cabinet to increase the number of officers by 500. So almost double the number which were there at that time. And this is being done through increased recruitment, through more lateral entries, bringing in experts from outside, and some promotion quota within our own services. I think what we need now is not just numbers. Numbers are very important because we have, as you said, 130 embassies all around the world, and with such a small number of officers, you obviously cannot give enough attention. But numbers are important, but they are not the only issue, and they are not the sufficient condition. We need a great deal more expertise. There are many more areas which are developing in global diplomacy: climate change, cyber security, disarmament, international trade negotiations, international financial affairs, in which in some way or the other diplomacy has to play its role. So we need officers not just with language skills and with skills in understanding and negotiation which you develop as you go along in service, but with these specialized skills. And we have a training program. We are addressing this issue. The expansion plan which I referred to is from 2008 to 2018. So one of my successors, maybe in 4 or 5 years time, will find much more resources to deal with the difficulties of the world than I had.
इंशाअल्लाह। मथाई साहब, इस बातचीत के लिए आपका बहुत शुक्रिया।
Thank you very much.